again, and welcome back to Kindling, where African stories spring to life. I'm Awe, your storyteller. Now, today's tale comes to us from Kenya, a country known for its rich tapestry of cultures and landscapes, from the towering peaks of Mount Kenya to the sweeping savannas where lions roam under starlit skies. Now, Kenya is home to over 40 different ethnic groups, from the Maasai and Kikuyu to the Luo and Luya. And amongst all of these different cultures, in many of them we find a storytelling tradition and tales that have been told for generations around fires as a way of teaching and preserving the culture's identity. Now, our story today is a lovely, short but pithy tale, and it's entitled The Hyena and the Rock. Let's hear it. Once, long, long ago, in the very beginning, when the world was still new and everything, animals, trees, rivers, and even rocks, lived in harmony, there was one animal who was the leader of them all, the hyena. Now, every morning, the hyena would rise early and make his rounds, checking on the well-being of all his subjects across the kingdom. He visited the trees to see if their leaves were still fresh. He asked the rivers if their waters still flowed freely, and he greeted the animals, each and every one, with kindness and respect. Now, one quiet morning, as the first light of dawn stretched across the land, the hyena was heading home after his usual morning walk. The world was still sleepy, and dew clung to the grass beneath his feet. And as he walked, he came across a large rock by the roadside. The hyena stopped and said politely, "Good morning, Rock. How are you today?" The rock, of course, did not answer. The hyena tilted his head. He said to himself. Perhaps it didn't hear me. "Rock, good morning. How are you today?" he said. Still, the rock did not answer. And so the hyena tried for a third time. He raised his voice and said as cheerfully as he could, "Rock, good morning. How are you today?" And still, nothing came. The hyena shrugged. He looked at the rock. He hesitated. And then he turned and walked away. "Very well," he said. "Even if you do not answer, at least you have listened." And with that, he turned and went on his merry way as usual, humming as he padded through the forest. And that was the end of the story. So, what could be the moral in this peculiar and brief little tale about the hyena and the rock? Well, I think it's about how sometimes in life we may try our best to connect with people, with ideas, or even with our goals that simply won't respond. No matter how much kindness, time, and effort we put into certain things, some things simply will not change. They won't budge like the rock. And that's okay. The wise thing here is to recognize when it is time to give up and walk away. But just like the hyena in this story, we can still go through life and move on with a good heart and keeping a good nature, greeting the world as we encounter it with respect, even if we don't always get the answer that we would like or the response that we were hoping for. Now, notice how the hyena in the story never got angry or aggressive towards the rock, but instead He simply managed his feelings and moved along. I also like how the hyena in this story was good-natured and gentle. Now, this animal is often portrayed as a villain in many different stories and associated with negative images, negative emotions, and negative actions. But in this story, he's actually a creature that represents perseverance, but also patience and temperance rather. Now, patience and temperance in particular are often underrated traits in our modern world, when so much is about being loud and brash and getting your own way at all costs. The hyena in this story reminds us that there's a different way to move through the world, and that is a valid and valuable lesson. Now, next time, we will journey to another African country, and that will be in the southern part of Africa, the country of Lesotho. Until then, remember, of course, to like, share, and subscribe to watch any more videos. And, of course, remember that the wisdom of the ancients lives on in every tale we tell. So, keep telling stories.